Hi, and welcome to this brief presentation for the Collin Creek Redevelopment Parks and Open Space. This is the second of a three-part presentation designed to garner feedback and present design ideas for the proposed public parks at Collin Creek. My name is Leonard Reeves, and I am the principal with Studio 13 Design Group. We are a design consulting firm focused on both public and private developments. We have worked on several projects with the City of Plano and have enjoyed partnering with them and Centurion American on these revitalization efforts. We are excited to get your feedback during this stage of the planning process. On behalf of the City and Design team, I want to thank those of you who participated in the initial online survey. We are excited to receive over 800 responses and hope to have similar success this go around. We'll begin by looking at the overall timeline. Task 1 and the initial online survey have been completed, which brings us to Task 2, the Park Design Concepts presentation. Although the online survey for Task 1 has closed, you can still view the program envisioning presentation by going to the link in the description below. In this presentation, we will look at Task 2. We will provide a link to another online survey at the end of this presentation. Similar to Task 1, the survey will be open for 3 weeks, and we encourage you to participate as your feedback is vital to the planning process and overall success of the project. As part of Task 2, our team has compiled the online survey responses and developed initial site plans for both park blocks. Once this survey is closed, our team will move to Task 3. At this stage, we will again gather the survey results and prepare a final parks master plan. Before we jump into the design concepts, we would like to share the feedback we received from the initial survey. Question 1. When asked, how often do you visit local parks trails? Nearly all of you responded often or at times. This is important because we like to hear from those who already use Plano Parks and Trails and will likely utilize the proposed parks at Collin Creek. Question 2 is important as it gives us an idea of how interested the local community is in these proposed parks. As expected, most of the respondents fall within or near the Collin Creek zip code. Question 3 was a little more specific in asking, how often do you visit your nearest park? The response was very similar to question 1, indicating that most of you visit nearby parks often or at times. Again, this helps us see how many participants already utilize Plano's existing park spaces. Question 4 begins to identify more specifically which parks in Plano are preferred by the community over other parks. This is helpful because it gives us a better understanding of the types of parks you prefer, which helps us establish goals and objectives and program accordingly. Oak Point Park and Nature Preserve was the clear favorite, which has lots of walking trails and open space. This park is also near the Collin Creek site and likely has the benefit of convenience for potential park users living nearby. Windhaven Park, which opened the fall of 2019, is also in proximity, but attracts users from all over Plano. This park is known for its destination playground and large dog park, but also has lots of open space and connects to the Bluebonnet Trail. Bob Woodruff Park is a popular destination for trail users and nature enthusiasts. Although it's older, it has seen many recent improvements and continues to be a favorite in the community. In our previous presentation, we discussed several program amenities that are often found in successful park projects. Of these general program elements, question 5 asks, why do you visit your nearest park? As you can see, fitness, play, and open space tend to be the most common reasons people visit their local parks. Moving to our final category, question 6 asks, what amenities would you like to see at Collin Creek? Because we received such a high response to trails and trail amenities, we have added this to our program amenities. As you can see here, there are several options that ranked high on our list of program amenities. Shelter, trail, and nature were among the top responses, which is not unlike the current program uses we saw earlier in the presentation. Taking all of that into consideration, we then asked you to provide additional comments. This helped us dial in more specifically what exactly you would like to see proposed for the new parks at Collin Creek. After compiling these comments, we were able to create a word bubble that we thought might help you visualize what categories got the most attention. As not to exclude or emphasize any one category, this visual helps to identify which categories received the most positive comments. Although we want to take every comment into consideration, we believe that the majority has spoken and we are now able to make a comprehensive list of what you would like to see. We can now turn our attention to the design portion of this presentation. The overall plan shows 2 major park projects that fall within the Collin Creek redevelopment. City Council has recently approved names for these parks, which we previously referred to as the East and West Park. We will begin by focusing our attention to the East Park, which is now formally known as Sunrise Park. In our initial presentation, we discussed some of the challenges we would face in terms of site constraints. Along the west edge of the park, there's an existing 140-foot wide culvert easement, which will limit what we can build in this area. At the northeast corner, there is an existing overhead transmission line that will also limit certain activities. This cross-section shows the grade change that occurs across the site. As shown, the grade of the park is roughly at a 5% slope. Although we are not required to maintain this grade, we are presented with the challenge of maintaining ADA compliance throughout the park, which means we need to reduce the slope to no more than 2% in certain areas. This will require some cut and fill to achieve, but fortunately we have a significant amount of overbuild to work with. Shifting back to the plan, we have identified key access points along the perimeter of the park. These locations are generally found at the corners of the block, with mid-block access points at strategic locations. Other key moments are at the trail extension and the Grand Paseo entrance. The Chisholm Hike and Bike Trail is a great amenity that travels along the culvert easement, extending to the north and south of Collin Creek. Within the park, we envision an outer loop path that would provide connectivity or simply function as a passive walking experience. Next, we are showing a main path of travel to the interior of the park, which also connects to the two south corners of the block. The Grand Paseo connection allows for direct access to the Collin Creek commercial interior. Although the west edge of the park block is privately owned, we're working with Centurion American to make this area feel cohesive with the rest of the park. Now that we have a rough layout of the paths and trails, we can start to locate some of our program amenities. We'll start with what we're calling the Quiet Meditation Area, which is comprised of crushed stone paths, native planting, and several seating opportunities. As you will see, this area is separated from some of the more active program uses. Next, we'll look at the Central Gathering Space, or what we are calling the Central Plaza. This area needs to be highly visible and accessible to all other amenities. This will help us begin to define the other spaces. This area to the south is ideal for the playground amenity, as it is large, open, and can be contained on all sides. It will be highly visible from the Central Plaza. We're currently working with a playground consultant to develop different options for the look and feel of the area. We anticipate a multi-generational play experience that is both inclusive and architecturally appealing. The image shows a few playgrounds we have drawn inspiration from so far. Based on your comments, we want to provide lots of seating and shade so it is as comfortable and inviting of a space as possible. We would also like to provide a mid-block connection point with direct access to overflow seating opportunities to the playground, which could be rented out for things like birthday parties. Let's turn our attention back to the Central Plaza. We have worked with the Parks Department to find a safe and creative way to bring this trail extension through the park instead of routing it around the perimeter or diverting it to the street. If we could simply reduce the speed of a cyclist, scooters, etc. as they enter the Central Plaza, it could be a unique experience for both trail and park user. This could help to integrate the trail into the park, albeit a more urban approach. As we consider areas for planting, in order to reduce the amount of maintenance required, we have concentrated most of it in and around the Central Plaza. We also feel that the south edge of the playground could use a planting buffer to keep children contained, in addition to a fence enclosure. In the Quiet Meditation Area, we could see more native, drought-tolerant plant materials being used, making it more sustainable and minimize the need for ongoing maintenance. We would also like to emphasize the connection from the entry plaza to the Central Plaza. Because the entry plaza is located within a private development, we will need to work with their design team to produce a cohesive experience. Looking to the northeast corner of the site, we feel like this would be an ideal location for open space, as we are limited by the existing electrical easement, which prohibits us from building any permanent structures. We also thought this would be a great opportunity to make the grade change by sinking the open space area and surrounding it with slope lawn for seating. A stair connection could also be added to connect to the plaza as well. The next step would be to design and locate shade structures for the gathering spaces. In order to keep columns and piers out of the culvert easement, we're proposing a semicircular layout for the Central Plaza structure and a small cover for the playground overflow seating area. We feel that this provides substantial shade and anchors the plaza by framing it on one side. This could also double as a staging area for live performances, which could be viewed from the restaurant terrace. Now that we have located all our major program uses, we can begin to populate the park and trail extensions with trees. We envision a variety of specimens, both evergreen and deciduous, along the trail corridor, with small ornamentals placed throughout. We could also line the outer loop to create an array of shade trees for a comfortable walking path. Along the slope lawn of the open space, we want to provide shaded seating opportunities. Now we can infill the Quiet Meditation and frame the entry plaza promenade, drawing views into the park from both south corners. We have preserved many mature trees that were original to Collin Creek Mall and could handpick some of these trees to be transplanted into the Quiet Meditation Area. Located at the Central Gathering, we are proposing a water element in the form of a mist sculpture. Because of the continued maintenance and costs associated with interactive water features, we feel this option provides the cooling benefits of water on hot summer days without having the added cost and upkeep. This could also add a touch of artistic flair to the park in a location for all to enjoy. Turning your attention back to site grading, this cross-section will show how we are making up almost 20 feet in elevation change across the site. Looking at this cross-section, you can see that the layout we are proposing allows us to do this without the need for retaining walls or terracing. It also frees up space for flexible uses and potential program amenities in the future. This concludes the design presentation for Sunrise Park. Before we move on to the West Park side, we want to briefly look at the Chisholm Hike and Bike Trail extension that will run along the drainage culvert easement. We're proposing 2 outdoor fitness nodes along the trail to the north and south of Sunrise Park. These nodes will likely have calisthenic type elements and be furnished with mist cooling station, lighting, wayfinding signage, benches, and bike racks. Please feel free to share any other ideas you might have for these nodes. We can now turn our attention to the west to Starlight Park. With a direct connection through the Paseo, this roughly 2-acre park site will be a great amenity for future residents at Collin Creek, in addition to the City of Plano parks. Although less active than Sunrise Park, this passive green space will provide lots of shade, trees, and open space. We are proposing wide perimeter sidewalks with a parkway-style buffer between the sidewalk and back of curb. In addition, we are proposing shade trees and decorative grates, and paved connections to the on-street parallel parking. The parkway-style streetscape will provide a soft landscape edge and create comfortable buffer between the street and sidewalk. At the center of the park, we're preserving a series of sculptural steel arches that once stood at the entrance to the old Collin Creek Mall. These iconic arches are a great way to commemorate the old mall while creating a highly visible reference point within the development. Surrounding the arches, we envision a central gathering plaza. This area can be accessed from the northeast and southwest corners of the park block. In order to provide optimal views of the sculpture, we are turning the plaza 45 degrees. We also want to apply a paving treatment that is visually interesting and draws park users into the space. Throughout the park, we're proposing several seating opportunities in the form of benches and seat walls. We would like to accent the central gathering area with shrubs and ornamental grasses, and provide access to the open lawn at several locations. Because shade is a priority in all of our parks, we want to transplant some of the larger trees we preserved. This will help to anchor the plaza in the landscape. As a final touch, we propose several medium canopy trees along the entry walks. This can also help to create a sense of arrival. With everything laid out, we can now add the site furnishings such as laid bollards, perimeter lighting, tables, chairs, as well as streetscape furnishings such as bike racks, litter receptacles, and safety bollards. Instead of trying to hide or screen mechanical equipment required for the park, we're proposing an enclosure that doubles as an information kiosk at the park entrance. These views will help give you a better understanding of what's being proposed. Again, we're open to ideas and encourage your feedback on the survey. This concludes our design concepts presentation. We appreciate your time and participation up to this point and encourage you to complete the online survey. Now that you have a better understanding of the overall scope and design direction for the parks at Collin Creek, it's time to give us your feedback. Please follow this link and tell us how you would like to see these parks come together, what you like about it, or what you would like to see in the future. We look forward to taking the next steps towards the future of Collin Creek and the City of Plano Parks and Recreation.